Hello. Good day, actually. Today I'm gonna talk about the feelings, actually, about my feelings, your feelings, and how we correlate them with the code. Do you need microphone here, or do you hear anything? That's good? Bad? Good? Okay. So, from the start, let's try to do something else from this hour. Let's go back from the code to where we are right now. So we are right now after the lunch, and actually this hour calls from the presenters, from the speakers. Actually, it's called Zombie Hour. I think you know why. And as I said, we will talk about the feelings. So my question is, how do you feel? And I think you feel right now is full, and you're not hungry, and I think you feel good. Conference is good, speakers and keynotes is actually really great for me, at least. And so this feeling is somehow just could be the same in the working place and near the code, near the computer you are doing. So I will try to do something to correlate them and see how we can hack the life of yours to do better job and to do better code and actually to do better you. So let's do some science first. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to feel good. Everybody wants to be lifted and so on. So there's two words. It's to feel good and to feel bad. Yeah. So there's a lot of synonyms for that, but it could be happy and sad, etc. But let's try to figure out what it is actually, because we are geeks. Yep. So we are always seeking for rewards and avoiding pain. So this is the nature, and this is how we survived all the from the beginning of the human. And everything what we are feeling, what we are doing is actually in the brain. So we have to get deeper into it. So what's going on? So whenever you feel good, and this is the pictures could be like you're feeling good, you're dancing, when you're listening music, then you did a great job, when you're painting, then you're eating, and etc. So this is something that feels good, yeah? And what your brain says when you're feeling good, actually, is whatever you're doing, keep on doing that. And every time you're doing something, you just feel great. And what's happening then, actually, in the brain, your neurons connect, and it establishes this, that you can always do that by triggering something like this. Also, this is something like the triggers are negative as well. So if you see the stop signs, if you feel the pain, if you feel something bad, also some kind of triggers in the neurons, and you feel something that don't do that again. Yeah, so get away, and this is how we avoid all the problems. So this is actually real life, yeah, but we will see that the same in the code. So basically what's going on, so when you're doing something new or doing something that calls good feelings, the neurons connect and emits some particles, which is like very, very small ones. So the science here is actually not biology, it's chemistry. So this is few particles that actually makes you feel good. We are free ones. It's dopamine. So who heard about dopamine? Good. We have a few more, so stay here. What it is actually, it's also called as reward chemical, which is triggered that you can try to reach the goal. And once you reach the goal, this chemical just stops emitting, and then what's going on, you just feel not so good anymore. So this is first one. Second one is more complicated. It's serotonin. So serotonin, what it does is actually the status, or I would say status and social chemical, which defines you in the group. And when you feel good, is well, pride and respect. And this is something that you get from day to day. We'll see that a bit later. And as well as dopamine, once you get this, you will seek for another reward to get this kind of chemical. So you like addicts searching for some new challenges and to be useful for a group, etc. So actually, status chemical, it's something that's called like hierarchy and etc. But in order to get this chemical, you can be not in the top, but you can be in the middle or in the bottom, actually. And to get it, you can be helpful, funny, or clever, and the same chemicals are just released as the same as we get it in the top. And the third one is oxytocin. Who heard about this? Few? Okay. So this is a simple chemical, which is actually correlates with love in the wide media, but it's also correlated with trust. So when we trust each other, then we bind with some people around us, and then when we can't trust anybody, this chemical would just say that, okay, this is good, stay in this place, and in this place you will be happy. This is something like this. And if you leave that group or leave that person or leave anybody, this chemical gets low, and it says that you have to get back in order to feel good. So it's like simple chemistry. As I said, we are geeks, and this is how we call love. Yeah, it's nothing like chemical. Okay, so what we can do about it, we can correlate that with the code we actually do. So I have 3 points of my own, how to feel good about the developing or the codes. So first one is it has to be fun. Yeah. So I remember my early days when, in order to get excited and to be fun, I have to write some dummy actually program, which is usually from now on it just looks silly. But after I get this, it was like reward for me, and it was, yes, I did it. It was fun. So what fun means actually, or not boring, is you always have to learn something new. So fun actually correlates with new frameworks. Yeah? So this is why we're just switching languages, switching frameworks, switching tools, etc. And when we discover something, it just pops up. Oh, it's something new. I can just try to do it and establish it, and I get this kind of good feeling about it because it's new. Also, from another perspective, something new can be that you figure out how to solve a problem. So problem solving is actually in our brains, which is something that what you can do is you can look at the problem, find the solution, and the same chemicals actually just released. So it's something new. Something new is actually fun. And as I said, there is patterns. And if you take a look at this picture, what's going on in your head, it's try to understand what it is. But actually, it's nothing. So at first point, what it goes is it's looking like this. Can you count how many triangles are there?
156.
A bit more. Yeah. Okay, so what's going on actually in your brains, it's not fun. You have to count everything and etc. So it's too steep actually, and you have to work hard to achieve something. And they say, no, that's boring. It's not fun because I cannot never reach it. So it's not reachable, and this is why you don't get this kind of good feelings. And let's try to do something else. How many triangles are there? Is it fun or boring?
Fun. Boring.
Oh, yeah. At first it's fun, yeah? After that, how many triangles? One, the same answer. It's boring. So this is what's going on. First one, as you learn something, if you will be like 3 years old, if you can say this is triangle, it will be fun for you. But right now, it's really boring. Okay, let's try something else. How many are there?
5.
Good. And how many are there?
15. 13.
Good. And how many are there?
Like 24, something like that.
27. So what's going on right now is if you take a look at this one, it's, as I said, it's too big. You cannot count it like somewhere. It's actually, there is some math formula for that, so you can just Google that and find the solution for that. So it's another way of finding and discovering something. But if you try to do like stepping from the easiest part to the harder and harder, this is something that we do in games, actually. First level is easy, and the third level is some kind of more. So if I asked at the first this one, it will be much more complicated. But if you try to do like this, it's 1, then you can just add something that's in the bottom. And right now you can add only the bottom and what's going on else. And this is how your brains are working. So it's constantly finding the pattern that you can add in, and you can find the number. So if I just continue to do it like into that big one, so you will find the solution for that. It's 411 triangles. So it's a big number, but we will not try to do that now. But yeah, so what's there? This is what we do from day to day. And how we can tell that? We can tell by this. Algorithm is fun. Yeah? When you try to understand something, when you try to iterate it, when you try to abstract it, and when to try to divide it, it's something that's going on the same as with triangles. At first, it's too steep, yeah? So you have to split it, and then to try to iterate to have something bigger and bigger and bigger. And in the end, you get this one. So it's like huge pile of code, which somehow compiles, but you understand and you feel great actually about it because it's new. It's new code which works and solves the solution. Okay, so another thing is about this one. As I said, various patterns in this code. So what patterns do you see in here? Anyone?
jQuery code.
Something like this, yeah. It's familiar. Anything else?
Strings are differently colored.
Exactly. Anything else? Okay, so this is what's going on here is you try to understand, solve it, let's say you find the patterns, yeah? So first is color, yeah? So you just differentiate the color and you see that something is, these parts are only the strings, so I don't care about them, yeah? Only thing that cares about is like this version, yeah? So something tells about it more. Everything else is just, yeah. And then we have some kind of this, yeah? So this is something that's also inform us that this should be the object or something like this. And overall, you can see that this is JavaScript. And you can see the syntax. And then you try to understand what it's trying to solve. but actually it's like instant in your brain. So it's try to read the code, and if it's too steep, if you don't understand anything, then it's boring. If you try to understand it and find something, then it's something going on like fun. Okay, so it's about the fun and patterns. Another point from developing, from my point, is it should be social. What does this mean? Usually, developers are known as non-social persons. It's like a stereotype that they don't talk to anybody and then just sit on a computer and trying to solve their problems and etc. So this is quite a bit true, but actually it's not. Take a look around and see how many people are here. So it's not that big crowd, but if we sit in the alpha room in the keynote, we'll see how many people are in one tribe, try to read something, try to listen for one person. So this is actually social. And social means that we connect to each other and try to be like one. Yep. How it relates. So what you can try to do when you try to be social, you try to write even the person who don't speak to anyone, they try to express themselves through the code. And through the code, we just try to write something that is useful for him and I think useful for others. So he tries to solve a problem that he thinks will change, he thinks that it will solve another person's problem and then tries to do something else. Do you see something here? Colors, yeah? What's wrong with them? Yeah, but I didn't see any pattern here yet. I mean, I didn't mention any pattern, but you just remember that, so sorry. Okay, so about the code and expressing. So try to express yourself and try to solve a problem. This is called that you are trying to be social, actually. And whatever who says that you are not social, try to see that you are doing something else. Actually, you're helping others. So you won't code for your own, actually, because it won't get you for a living. And when you try to do something, you're just trying to solve the problems that is for others, and this is how you get your living. And also, in the same time, what you're doing is helping others. So there is kind of mentoring, juniors, seniors, and etc. So we just talk to each other to get something bigger and bigger and bigger. So we are helping others. Yep. Also, there is kind of non-face-to-face talking also. It's through the code, as I said. And the best way to do that is, most common way actually, is code reviews. So pull requests in GitHub and etc. So this is something that we try to understand another person through the code and not talking face-to-face, because sometimes it's so hard. Okay. What social means more? Social actually means it should be epic. Who knows where epic is actually the biggest usage in it? Okay, I will rephrase. Yes. Something else? Okay, so actually epic works is most commonly used in the games, because we try to, as the code as itself, we try to get into one tribes and on the groups, and what we try to reach is it's do something bigger and bigger. So they cannot do that on their own, but we can do it in the group. For example, we just in World of Warcraft, we get in the kind of tribe and try to kill one monster, like let's say 20 versus 1. Yeah, and then when they do that, they feel some grateful achievement about it. So it's like the goal, and we cannot do it without if we are not be in the group. So epic is something that we can create as the humans bigger than we can do it like only one person. In the animals, it's something like ants. Yeah, so it's like big house of ants, and one ant cannot build one house, but if we are 1,000 of them, we can do miracles. So the same is like Giza pyramid. Yep. So there is no one person who built that. I think it was thousands or even millions to build that, or even aliens who joins us. Yep. Okay, so social is something like epic, helping others, expressing yourself, and by saying social, developers, I think all developers has one secret in their head, which is lying there, is this one. Developers want to change the world, to make it a better place, and what it means is they try to solve a problem that could potentially change the world, and actually they're doing it. As you remember, Linda in yesterday keynote said that all of this Twitter and Facebook changed the way the human communicates. And we have a lot of more examples for about that. This is not like every computer, when we connect to it, is somehow related to what we are doing. Every every lift we're just going up and down is also the kind of a work of the programmers and developers itself. So we are changing the world, but it's something that it's because we want to be social. Okay, and the last thing is developing should be rewarding. Rewarding is something that's it's not by getting the money, but getting the feedback about it, what you are doing and what you try to achieve. What it is when you're trying to solve a problem and you solve it on your own and you get the result that compiler pass, you are feeling happy about it and it says yes. And when you have fail, you have no, and then there's some warnings, something fishy here. So this is what we get from the computer. But the same could be when we try to solve a problem, let's say closing a task, etc. So if we solve a problem and somebody says that, yeah, you did a great job, this is the biggest reward we can get. Except for money, which is kind of opposite thing, that you're getting the money and you say, oh, okay, I do whatever it does. So getting feedback about what you did and it was great, so this is something that it should be like developing. Okay, so how does it look like in the dream job? Yep. Greenfield projects. Who doesn't know this term? Okay, few. Okay, so I'll just explain shortly. Greenfield project is like in the picture. You see a plain field, and you can do whatever you want. So build the city from your own. All the communications, all the buildings, all the architecture is on your side. So if there will be some river, or if there will be some kind of already city, you cannot do it like you want it. You have to just change it, burn it, etc. So it's Greenfield project, which says that you can do whatever you want. And how does it feel about it when the developers reach it? Is it rewarding? Yes, because you see that you can build a better place. Yeah, I'll do it this. Is it trustful? Well, somebody actually trusted you to build something better, but this kind of binding is kind of going lower and lower in the term. Do you feel pride and respect after you build it? Yes, but after you build it. And do you have the feedback about it? Usually it's in the beginning, in the end, and then in the end you'll see that it's not better than before. So this is something of, something like this. Was it fun? Yes, because it was new. Was it social? Kind of, if it was the team. Okay, so this is the legacy project. And how do you feel about it? It's something that you get the rusty car and it's not even driving, but it was very good before. So how does this feel? Feedback. Every time you do something great, let's say polish some kind of window or fix the engine by itself, nobody gets you good feedback. I mean, yeah, it should be working before. Like you did nothing about it. Was it something fun? No, because it's already was invented and you're just doing the same and the same. Was it social? Not kind of, because you try to read the code and understand it, but it's not the same. Yep. And the same is here. You don't trust any code about it. Yep. And you don't get the pride about that you are working on the legacy project. And the goal is nobody knows what it is. It's just maintain the project. Yeah. So what we can do about it? In previous, it was like everything was exciting, and in this one, it's like not so good. So what you can do is try to get as much feedback as you can. Try to learn and see what was the problem they're trying to solve, and it will be some kind of fun. In the social, try to reach the developers who wrote that, or the persons who uses that, and ask why it was built like that. So it will tell you the horror stories, but also you'll learn something how not to program. And the same is here. If you can gain the trust about not breaking again the same system, you'll be like getting this kind of chemicals. If you get the goals like not to break the same system this week, it will be like the goal. And if you define it, you get the same chemicals. And the pride in respect is if you just reach the goal, it will be enormous, actually. Okay, so another term, the flow. Who knows what it is? Good. So the flow is the state of mind when you just look at the computer on the task and do whatever it takes, and nobody, let's say, you don't do anything else. So single point, and you're just going here. And why it's not happening? Well, actually, it's because we have interruptions and distractions. So no developer likes distractions, interruptions. And what we do actually, we just get the headphones, the big ones with noise cancellations, and try to solve the problem we try to do. And what's going on here actually, when we try to reach the flow and we are in that flow, it's like the rabbit hole. They just go deep and deep and deep and deep, and they are on their own. So what's going on like this table? So do we have the feedback? Yes, because we're trying to reach the system and getting a lot of information about it. Do we have some learning and patency? Yes. Is it social? No. So what it means is you cannot build something big when you are on your own. And to do that is the flow doesn't help you to do that. And the same is here. So the only thing that you get and get the enormous quantities, it's dopamine. You're reaching your goals you just determined before, and you always do that. So this is why you are feeling not grateful when somebody just distracts you, because you're just losing your chemicals about that. So the flow is very good when you have the fixed amount, let's say fixed project or fixed task, which says that you have to just do it. Don't speak, don't try to iterate, don't try to learn something that's with others or like that. So it's a fixed task for one day, for 1 week, just getting there, getting done, and that's it. So flow is okay for that, but only for a short amount of time. So social thing is also should be important, and there's no way how you can be social in there. Okay. Who knows this one? Okay. Does nobody knows? Somebody does know who it is? Okay. So TDD, in short, is test-driven development or test-driven design. So it's the cycle when you try to write the code and etc. So it's like a cycle. And what it is? Actually, it's the dopamine generator. You're always getting the feedback, the goals you're trying to reach, and you're always reaching it. So it's like always doing that something you get excited about it and feeling good. So TDD actually just plays with your brains, and you're trying to do something that's good. But again, what we are here is we are always getting the feedback. It's always fun, but it's not social. It could be social, and how to do that is you can write in pairs. Yeah, so it's like ping pong game. Somebody writes the test, and you write the code, and vice versa. So it could be social, and this can be helpful. Okay, next thing is the question, actually. How to motivate to the constant velocity. So if you want to always be on the good mood and to do something that's always delivering what you expected, trying to do the flow, because it's very good, but mix in something like, so mix in some social things in there. So to be constant, you have to focus, as the flow does. And focus means that, so focus on the problem solving. And bad code is also the problem. So you can just focus on the bad code and just do it that it should be a good one. But also, it should be like balance. And what you have to do is just balance all these kind of things, which is you have to be social, you have to be goal-oriented, you have to gain the trust between your peers or colleagues, and then you'll feel always good about it, and you'll always be in your best shape. So what drives your development? I don't know. It's up to you. And you can try to define it and then try to map with this kind of table and see, is it working for you or not? Is it social? Is it goal-oriented? Is it trust-based, etc.? So the conclusion here is, in order to feel good about your code, I think it is this. You have to build the trust with your peers. You have to show that you mastered the domain, so social, and you have to reach the nearest goal. So it's like your petrol in your engine. And that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions, this one is down. So.
There are no online questions.
So one question is, what do you think about deadlines which generate some kind of fear hormone?
Well, deadlines is something like goal. You have to reach it. But also it's like social thing that if you cannot make it, it will make you like not so social. And how you can deal with it is trying to reach the deadline with being social. So understand what it is, the deadline, what you have to deliver. And if you see something that's not working, trying to gain the trust and say that, okay, I know what you need, but we have to just bring down all the requirements here. So if you just mix these ones and try to understand the problem, try to gain the trust from the person trying to help, and trying to reach the same goal actually as he does, well, there is no kind of bad feelings about it. Anything else? How do you feel? Good. Okay, so you have some free time till the next presentation. Thank you again.